what does the Bible teach about business? That's what we'll uncover together on the Business in His Image podcast. This show explores strategies from the Bible that will help you grow your business, strengthen your walk with Jesus, and help you reach your God-given potential as an entrepreneur. The Bible is filled with practical wisdom to help you live for God while using your gifts. Let's unpack what that means for you and how you can use biblical truths to build a thriving business that honors Christ. Now it's time to dive in. We are talking today about email marketing, and this is going to be a beginner's guide to getting started. So if you have ever felt overwhelmed by just the thought of starting an email list, right? Because there's so much to do. It's like, where do you even start? This episode is for you. We're going to talk about how to build an email list, how to get people interested, right? We're going to cover the platforms, how to get started for free, the tools you need, building your list. And yes, we're going to keep this under 20 minutes. Let's just get right into it. The first thing is knowing when you should build an email list, because you might be wondering, well, does it depend on where I'm at in my business? If I'm newer to business, is this a good time to start? So this isn't a trick question, but honestly, the answer is that if you have a business, you can benefit from an email list, even if you're new. And here's why. You don't own social media, and I am all about using social media. You don't have to post every day for it to be effective, but I do think it's a great tool, especially when you're getting started. But you don't own it, right? So if God forbid everything shut down and you lost your accounts, what would happen to your audience, right? That's outside of your control, but your email list is yours. It belongs to you. You can access it anytime. And it's such a powerful way to not feel enslaved to an algorithm that is going to dictate who is seeing and not seeing your content, right? It gives you more control. So I am a firm believer that if you own a business, you should also have an email list. So let's talk about how we can get started for free. The first thing that you really want to be doing is figuring out a valuable resource that you can give away for free. At the very bare minimum, like that's the first thing that you should be thinking about. What is it that you can create that is so valuable that someone is going to want to give their email in exchange to get that thing? And you also want to make sure, this is the key, that it relates to the product or service that you are providing. So it should really give your audience a taste of what it's like to work with you. So let me bring this home. For me and my agency, Honey Digital, we have a free revenue accelerator guide. And this guide teaches potential clients how they can grow their business without, even if they're not using paid ads or social media. It really hones in on defining their audience, right? Who is it that can afford your business, to afford to work with you? It hones in on messaging, which is what I provide as a copywriter, right? And then it also talks about how to build authority. So all of these elements are things that I offer either through copywriting, through strategy, through consulting. It all ties back into what Honey Digital does for potential clients, right? But this is a very valuable resource. I could honestly probably sell it, but I give it away for free. And that is the lead magnet that we have for our agency. For the Virtual Mama, I have a free copywriting masterclass. And this copywriting masterclass, you may have taken it before. It is so full of value. Honestly, I could probably sell this as a paid webinar, but I don't. I give it away for free. And that's part of my lead magnet. Okay. So think about that. What is it that people would want to learn from you? That's number one. Then you just need to create a free account with MailerLite or ConvertKit or whatever your platform of choice. But here's the thing. I don't want you to get so caught up in the platform you're using, because honestly, especially in the beginning, it's really not as important as you think. Once your business grows, if your funnel becomes more complicated, and by funnel, what I mean is your marketing ecosystem, the journey that your customers are taking, as that becomes a little bit more complicated, then you may care about something like that. But in the beginning, any honestly, like a free platform is going to work out great. Okay. So I just don't want you getting too caught up in that. I want you to choose a platform that you're actually going to use. I highly recommend MailerLite. It is free for, I think it's your first 1,000 subscribers are free. And it has honestly a lot of advanced features for that free tier. ConvertKit is another great platform and it's very popular. However, it does get really expensive. So I would really opt for starting with something like MailerLite. You can also use something like System.io. I use that for my business now. So I previously had MailerLite and I recently just switched over to System.io. That's where I host my course. It integrates with my website. I build funnels through there and it's just a really great resource that you can also use. But if you're just getting started, MailerLite does the trick. It's awesome. So you want to create that free account. And so now that you have that free account and you have that valuable digital product, that resource, what you want to do is choose a frequency, okay? Something that isn't going to overwhelm you. Consistency is really key here. So no, you don't have to necessarily email your audience every single week. If you can, that's awesome. But even if you do it bi-weekly, meaning twice a month, every other week, or even once a month, you just want to be consistent. Start with what you can, and then from there, you can increase it, right? But just create a cadence so that your audience knows what to expect. And that's really key there, okay? That's important. So once you decide on a frequency that's not going to overwhelm you, you want to start building your list. You want to start your email list, okay? And so that's when you put all those pieces together, you start promoting that opt-in and then just simply emailing your list content that's going to help them and add value to their lives. And this helps you stay top of mind. Okay. So even if someone doesn't hire you right away, you're staying top of mind. And when they need your service, when they need what you have to offer, you're going to come to mind. So it's a really, really powerful. Now, as far as tools that you need, you can keep this super simple. And I'm all about trying to use free tools. So like I mentioned, MailerLite is a great free tool that you can get started with. And then to create your free resource, depending on what it is, if it's a PDF, you can use Google Docs or Canva. I love Canva. You can use a free version of Canva to do so much. So I highly recommend that. If you're doing kind of like a webinar or video type of thing, then you're going to need a little bit more tools, right? You can use something like Loom or Komodo. I think it's Komodo Docs or Dex. I can link all of that, but you can use, a screen sharing tool. You can use your phone to record it. Like use what you have and do the best you can with it. Okay. And then you may want to connect it to your website if you have a website. If you don't have a website, you can use MailerLite to create a landing page. And I talk about this more in my course, List Lingo. Inside of my email marketing course, List Lingo, I literally walk you through like A to Z, how to set everything up, how to create the landing page, how to write the copy for that landing page, all the things, right? Walk you through it step by step. But if you're doing this on your own, you're just going to want to take it one step at a time and, really learn that platform so that you can use that if you don't have a website. So keep your tools simple. I love using Google Docs as well to write my emails. There's been times where I write it inside of the platform, but I don't recommend that. I really recommend even batching. Like take some time, even if it's 30 minutes, and just knock out some emails. They can be simple, but just make sure they're valuable. So you want, Google Docs for that. You have MailerLite, and then if you're going to create some kind of video as your opt-in, you can even use something like Descript to easily edit your videos. But if you're just getting started, you might just want to start super simple with a PDF, and I think that is a great way to start. My very first opt-in for my business, The Virtual Mama, it was a free pitch template as far as content goes. Before that, I had like an Instagram guide, how to grow your Instagram organically. But one of my first opt-ins that was the most popular was how to cold email clients and get clients that way through pitching. And that was a very, very popular, and it was simple to make. I just created it inside of Google Docs actually, but I used Canva to create the image that went with it, which is called the mockup. A mockup is simply when you see that image of like a computer and it has an image of that product. That's what's called a mockup. And again, I walk through all of that inside of List Lingo. But if you're doing this yourself, keep it as simple as possible. You just want to get something up there and then you can tweak it and make it better along the way. Okay. So, lastly, here before we wrap up, I want to talk about building your list. And I go in depth into this inside of List Lingo, but you really want to start simple with your network, right? Reaching out to the people that you already have a relationship with and see if they're interested in what you have to offer. Start your list there. Then once you have a few people on your email list that you know that support what you're doing, you can start sharing on social media. Start sharing anywhere that you can to grow your list. Just talk about your opt-in. If you meet people in person, wherever you go, just talk about what you're doing and see who's interested so that you can build that list. And don't worry so much about the numbers. Don't get overwhelmed trying to think about how am I going to get 1,000 people on my email list. Like, you want to start small, right? You want to start, like, inside of my course, I teach focusing on the first 5 or 10 people. Then from there, the next 20 people. Like, those small stepping stones, those small milestones, they feel so much more attainable. And once you reach that goal, you feel motivated to keep going, right? It's going to encourage you. You're going to be so filled up and you're going to keep wanting to go on with it because you see that it is working, right? So those smaller milestones are really key for continuing that journey and getting started. And it's great because then you have someone to write to, right? You have some people that are actually reading these emails. You're seeing that open rate and it's going to hype you up to want to keep going. There's obviously other things that you can do. I highly recommend adding your clients to your email list. Like for me, when I have an intake form, for example, I may add something at the end, getting permission to put them on my email list. You can also do this on an intake form for potential clients, right? You can add something small at the end and just let them know that you like to share free resources that will help bring value to their business, and then just ask their permission to add them to your email list. You can also do this with past clients. Get their permission, add them, and that way you can keep in touch with them and just make sure that it's really like value-driven content and not only selling. Yes, you want to share about your services, but they're not going to be very interested if that's all you talk about. So you want to make sure you're giving value. Another thing that you can do is collaborations, right? You can find other people who maybe have a smaller Facebook group. It might not always make sense to directly go to someone who has a huge following. If someone has like 100,000 people in their Facebook group or on their email list, there's going to be more competition to collaborate with them. And so you might want to start smaller. Maybe find someone who has a Facebook group and has like 100 people on there and see if you can go in there and share value with their audience in exchange for sharing your opt-in. That's one way that you can collaborate to grow your email list. You could go on a podcast. You could start with a smaller podcast. I'm in a virtual summit and I can share more information about that. But in my talk, I shared about how you can use media to grow your email list, to grow your authority, right? And so that is a great way to do that, going on other people's podcasts. You can also do a swap where maybe you collaborate with someone else who has a smaller list and you guys swap opt-ins with each other's lists, right? There's so many ways that you can collaborate. And I think collaboration is probably one of the best ways to grow your email list because it's not one-to-one, it's one-to-many. So those are a few things that you can do. Now, if you enjoyed this and you want to dive deeper into email marketing, I do have a step-by-step email marketing course, and it was made for service providers, business owners who want to start an email list from scratch, and they don't want to feel overwhelmed by tech, and they also don't want to spend a lot of money on tools, right? So if you don't want to be overwhelmed by some complicated tech and expensive tools, all of that, but you know you need to start building a list, this course was made for you, and you can find out more about it at thevirtualmama.com/listlingo. And I will also share that in the notes. I hope this episode blessed you. Remember to please rate and review on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you listen so that more people can be blessed by this podcast. Until next time, bye. Thank you for listening to the Business in His Image podcast with me, your host, Jo Harris. If this show has blessed you, please share it with a friend and subscribe so that you can be notified when we release new episodes. My prayer is that God will help you soak up every bit of what you've heard today and help you apply it to your business so that you can see results. I'll see you next time, and may God bless you.